The romance genre is one we talk a lot about on this channel, from the light-hearted, fun-happy ones to the absolute dumpster fire ones. But the romance genre is filled with many stories that goes unnoticed or even forgotten about, with how many release in a year. The one we are talking about today hasn't even been out for very long, yet I've hardly heard anybody even talking about it. I want you all to raise your hand if you've ever heard of, drumroll please, Modern and Married Couple But Not Lovers! Nope. No one. Anybody? Hello? Where's everybody gone? The manga has become a personal favourite of mine, and the anime has a pretty good adaptation. I want to talk about it today because it's not a series that's talked about very often. It left a pretty big impression on me, and I still think about it quite a lot. And now, I'm not saying it's the most amazing romance or plot, but it's definitely something rememberable. But before we get on with talking, most of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you could go down below and subscribe, it helps me out and would be much appreciated. Anyway, let's get on to why this anime is so damn good. This video is actually going to be a little bit more structured. I have actually sectioned it out into what I want to talk about. The first bit being romance. The romance aspect in this show is really cute, with two complete opposites who had nothing in common or have never even been in love before, and then they were forced into living together and act as a married couple. They learn about each other, they sympathise with one another, they slowly develop these feelings for one another that I don't think they ever would have had in any other circumstance. It's a slow, chaotic love line, yet it also feels really quick. I think anybody under those conditions that they were put into would develop those kind of feelings. The characters make sure they are feelings like they are true and they are genuine before actually acting upon those actions. They constantly reassure the other person. Akari and Yakuin do get put into the traditional trope positions, but it does make you kick your feet just a little bit, you know? And you do want Akari and Yakuin to stay together and not change partner, which is what they originally aiming for. The romance feels natural and not forced. I think that's what connects me to these characters. If I was in the same position as them, I'd feel the same, 100%. The romance is front and center with this anime, and it does not beat around the bush. It does do the typical tropes of something happens to stop the progress. However, the romance still carries on getting deeper and deeper the more you watch and read. To be honest, this anime actually gave me really similar vibes to Dress Up Darling in terms of the romance. You've got two people who live very separate lives to all of a sudden becoming intertwined as they now navigate this new life. The characters give very similar vibes, but I'd be talking about that more later on. Modern and Married Couple But Not Lovers has that trope that a lot of romance anime have, which is having a unique aspect in the show to make it different. You've got shows such as Alia hides her feelings in Russia, and that trope being the main character speaks in Russian to convey her feelings. You've then got Komi Can't Communicate, the main character can't talk. That's that unique premise of that show. Modern and Married Couple would, personally, I'd have to say is that they have to live together, which is that unique thing to bring out that romance, aspect within that show. I think they did this trope really well, and it makes the romance feel more authentic and real, making the characters spend most of their days together, working on problems, watching movies. It just feels authentic and natural as their love grows for one another. What also keeps the romance on your feet is the love triangle, love quadrilateral. Let's just call it the love glow. You've got Yakuin who loves Shiori, Ikari loves Mikuin, Shiori loves Yakuin, Ikari no longer loves Mikuin, but now Yakuin, Mei loves Shiori, Yakuin also loves Ikari. Jesus Christ, guys, just pick a side and just stay with the love of your life. The amount of times you'll catch yourself screaming at the screen, being like, back off, don't you interfere, or being like, oh, you absolute dumbass, is honestly too real, and I love it. It's fun, intense, chaotic, but for me, you still want to root for Akari and Yakuin, because the chemistry they have is just warming for the soul, especially in the final episode, when you get to see Akari and Yakuin go on a date. It made me so happy seeing them both do things together where the marriage practical doesn't count and they just do couple things, though they aren't technically couple yet. Right, the next thing I do want to talk about is the fan service. This is going to be quick and simple. Let's get the obvious bit out of the way. The show is very fan servicey, especially since Akari is a Gyaru. But no, hear me out. The fan service works in this show and it doesn't feel out of place, unlike Seven Deadly Sins. The fan service doesn't take away anything from the show, but instead adds some really comedic moments in. It also makes for some really romantic moments between Akari and Yakuin. Through their use of fan service, it highlights the absolute positive aspects of Akari, and I'll touch upon that later when I go through what makes Akari such a great character. But the fan service does not ruin this show, especially for me, let's say. It's done in a way that makes sense for the show, compared to them just adding it in just because they wanted to add in some extra, Guna love. I'm going to quickly summarize the plot for you guys as well, because I do think the plot is kind of unique in its own sense. It's nothing crazy, but as we talked about a bit before, we have Yakuin, an absolute gamer virgin who has never had any contact with the females, and Akari, an absolute Gyaru who's super popular. They both have people they love, but they get partnered together in this marriage practice exam, and they have to pass this exam if they want to graduate. Also, if you do get an A rank, you are able to swap your partners, so Akari and Yakuin make a promise to reach rank A and swap partners so they can be with the one they love. Through this, you follow Akari and Yakuin in their lives through this marriage practical as they learn about one another and their feelings. As I say, this plot isn't anything spectacular, but it kept me hooked throughout, and I found myself laughing at many moments and kicking my feet like a little kid when it came to some of the romance plot elements throughout the show. I would love a season 2, though I don't know how likely it is, but I am picking up the manga in English when it's been, coming out physically, so I can still keep my fix of this great series. I definitely do want a season 2 though, because where season 1 ended it just set up season 2 perfectly to be more of a rom-com with a head-to-head battle between the two girls. Right, let's move on to characters, because I think the characters are the strongest part of the show. But the main one I'm actually just going to be talking about is Akari. Akari is without a doubt the highlight within the show. Without her development, in the show, I don't think the show would have been nearly as enjoyable. The progression with Akari development goes from you thinking she's annoying, whiny, but then you find yourself rooting for her, sympathizing with her, and then just loving her. She has the strongest development within the show, and I think that does help for romance. Her decision-making changes, she acts more reasonably, but it's not like her whole character changes. She still remains the same Akari like we once met at the start, but she becomes more thoughtful. Her stance on love changed. Her stance on Yakuin even changed. Akari is your typical Gyaru at the beginning. She was loud, she had that snarkiness to her, but she mellows out when she stays with Yakuin. Spending time with Yakuin slowly makes her forget who she was trying to fall so hard in love with at the beginning of the series. I love Akari, not just because of her changing character, but she is genuinely funny. Her jokes always landed with me, and the clash between Yakuin and her felt like, a married couple. They really nailed the head on the nail with Akari, and I think her contrast with all the other characters is what the show needed. Yakuin isn't my favourite character, but he suits the show with the contrast in characters. He's a stereotypical gamer boy who never talks to girls. He's awkward, he's shy, he doesn't know how to act or what to say. It's all new to him in this world, and I think he feels real. If I was in that position, I wouldn't know what to say to the person you're staying with. He's a good person, he's honest. Oh, actually, go back to the good person bit. He's not really a good person, but he tries to be. Even though we know from the start he loves Shiori, you just want him to love Akari and realize that. But when he does in that one episode, you can't help but feel disappointed in him. In other words, he's like Natsuro from Domestic Girlfriend, except less of a wet napkin, but add that gamer quirk on. Just a final bit, I want to talk about the artwork in this show. The artwork, oh my god, I absolutely adore this colour palette they chose. It's so bright and vibrant, it's light, it makes everything look so cute. It makes Akari and Yakuin hair colours stand out even amongst all the bright colours. It's so stylized, while still looking like a usual romance show. The characters are all unique and all stand out in their own way, they're memorable in their design. Maybe that is due to the color palette, as I don't see many animes using this kind of pastel cute color palette. The opening True Fool Love is super catchy, it gets you ready for the show, and its lyrics also do relate to the show. It highlights the marriage aspect of the show about them gaining points. I love the lyric, which goes something like, what number of percentage does love have to hit before I like you? It's so cute, and it feels like it talks from Akari's perspective, being like, how much do I have to actually like you in terms of points to fall in love with you? The opening is just a bop, and I just had to mention it to you guys. So let me round out this video saying that More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers isn't your typical romance, but it's also exactly what you want. It's not the most craziest show, but it's a show that has stuck with me, and I really wanted to talk to you guys about it. I read volume 1 of the manga first, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, which is why I actually decided to go watch the anime in the first place. It's a fun watch, and whenever season 2 comes out, you know I'm going to be talking about it. But that's all for now, peeps. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time, peeps. Bye-bye.